Good evening. You're welcome to Moment for Thought. I'm Aliyu Bababaro. Well, this is a continuation of the discussion we had last week. We're talking about the Executive Order 10 as it relates to the governance in a democratic setup like Nigeria's at the state level. That is financial autonomy to the judiciary and, of course, the legislature at that level of governance. We're going to continue to have hover around that sphere of relations among institutions of governance. Of course, we shall relate with the federal level too. I still have with me Senator Ita Enang, Senior Special Assistant to the President, Niger Delta Affairs, and Secretary, Presidential Implementation Committee on Financial Autonomy for Judiciary and Legislature. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and
Senator.
Thank you, Nigerians.
Yes, yeah. Dr. Mainasara Kogo Umar, International Analyst on Democracy, Good Governance and Nation Building. He's a lawyer, just like distinguished Senator Ita Enang, and analyst of high repute, and of course an economist, internationally too for that matter. You're welcome, Dr. Kogo Umar.
It's always my pleasure to be with you in Nation Building.
Yes. Well, if you could remember, last week we stopped at the stage where perhaps we are rekindling the thoughts of Nigerians, and of course reminding them of the fact that executive orders are in line with the constitutions. And it's just like Mr. President now saying, deal with the executive and the legislature at your level, at the governance level, at the state level, just as I relate with those two institutions of governance at the federal level. What do you mean by that, actually? How's the situation of things now? Because a lot of development have happened during this period. With the governors even meeting Mr. President, yes.
Yeah, I want to say that I thank and commend the father of this nation, President Muhammadu Buhari, because any person that complains or has any reservation about any issue, he will listen and ask you to state your own side, because he wants everybody to be on the same page and his actions to be such that all Nigerians will benefit from.
Not autocratic.
Not autocratic, and is not in any manner vindictive of any arm of government or tier of government. But what he does is to be a father to all. Some days ago, His Excellency had cause to meet and discuss through his team and person with Their Excellency the governors.
Yes.
Because the governors had certain reservations about the one or two issues in the course of the executive order.
Yes.
And Mr. President, having signed the executive order, now says, look, meet the issues with the Attorney General and my other officers of state, resolve it, and in the course, or resolve it so that you'll be on the same page. The essence is to ensure that it is even easing the process of implementation.
Yes.
Because by the time they go down to the state to court implementation, you would have had all the governors being on the same page. And the whole summary of what is going to be done and what is being done is the concluding part or statement that I made the last time. Governors, Your Excellencies, treat the judiciary in your state the way I treat the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, Federal High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, National Industrial Court, and all other tiers of courts at the federal level. Yes. Treat your House of Assembly the way I treat the National Assembly in terms of funding and their independence. Therefore, it is in the course of it will be examined. Is there anything in the executive order which is different, which Mr. President is asking the governors to do different from what Mr. President is doing or what operates at the national level? Is it at the stage of money being deducted if you fail to pay the money to your state? At the federal level, whenever the money of any tier of government or any arm of government is due, there will the Accountant General of the Federation will, in accordance with the mandate of what is contained in the Appropriation Act, issue a warrant, and upon the warrant issued by the minister responsible for finance, transfer the money available in the budget.
Yes.
I want to clarify one thing to the Excellency the Governors, which is what happens at the federal level. If the judiciary is entitled to 150 billion a year, and in a particular month or period, the money that accrued to the Federation account from all sources is not up to such that you will have to transfer the amount due to the judiciary
Yes.
They would look at it and transfer pro rata of what has come in. So if the fears of the of some of the participants and beneficiaries of this process is that even if the money is not enough, you are bound to. No, there is a pro rata aspect of it in it. Therefore, the executive order, it will be, the executive order is on, but Mr. President has asked, hear all sides, listen to all sides, look at whoever would be injured, let every arm of government be treated the way the Constitution says, and let every arm of government be treated the way, let every arm of government at the state level be treated the way that arm of government equivalent at the national level is being treated.
Yes.
The President says, hear all, take all, let all actions be taken such that, one, litigation may not be necessary, two, nobody will be injured,
Yes.
three, everybody will be on board, and four, all Nigerians will be the better for it, and five, the Constitution will be observed in all ramifications.
Yes, there's democracy at play. While talking about Constitution will be observed, ramifications.
Yes.
With all these meetings with the governors, you hear some
Yes.
people talking about this executive order 10. Anytime Mr. President comes up with an executive order,
Yes.
as if it wasn't constitutional, kind of. And the Constitution is supreme, and its provisions shall have binding force on all authorities and persons in the Federal Republic. Is it part of the Constitution? Just as Ita Enang said, just rekindling.
Yes. First of all, I must commend the President. This is an exhibition of democratic humanism and social justice, which are the veritable
Democratic humanism and
yes,
social
which are the veritable instruments you use to calibrate the level of political democratic maturity of any nation.
Yeah.
He is acting in concert with his position in Section 130 as the Chief Executive Officer of the components of the governance in Nigeria. And if you take Sections 14, Section 15, Subsection 2, Section 17, Section 15, Subsection 3, Section 18, all these components of the Constitution have really brought about advisory provisions to the President on the need for him to do balancing, and the need for him to do consultation, on the need for him to get the stakeholders really integrated.
Yes.
Actually, this issue of Executive Order 10 shouldn't be a matter that will bring unnecessary brouhaha to this extent, because constitutionally speaking is already embedded. If you take, for example, the issue of the autonomy of the judiciary, Section 121 subsections 3 and 4 of the Constitution clearly has given the kudos to the President in that direction. So equally speaking, if you take the provision of Section 123 for the state legislature, and Section 123(5) for all gamut of the governance at the state level, if you take all these provisions, it is already there embedded in the Constitution. Yeah. All that the President is doing is to try to navigate as the shepherd, to trying to navigate as to what the correct path that we should follow, so that decorum and a connectivity of harmony among the tiers of governance will really be seen in the way the governors are doing it, at the same time in the way the President is doing it. At the federal level, he is already showing exemplary character in the way he is giving the autonomy for both the National Assembly as well as the judiciary. So he wants that type of policy policy to cascade downwards as in terms with the provision of Section 3 of the Constitution. So that is the simple something. And this executive order, like I said, executive order is the reason why people are seeing it so different. Number 10. I think with the exception of President Theodore in the United States, no president in the United States has ever pronounced executive orders lower than 1,000 within his tenure. Some are pronounced up to 2,000, some are pronounced up to 3,000, some are pronounced many. So if you take it in that context, America's constitution is not up to 10 pages. It's a small piece of constitution, and that small piece of constitution is supported by articles, by conventions, by laws and regulations.
Yes.
Article 2 is the one that has given the legitimacy for really bringing about this executive order in the United States context. And executive order has assisted beyond even United States of America. For example, if you take the order of 1863 that President Abraham Lincoln, that emancipation order that he brought in 1863 is the one that has liberated the whole world. Is the one that has brought about all these human rights you are talking about, equality, irrespective of creed, color, irrespective of geopolitical location in the world or whatever. The United Nations is borrowing it. All over the world, democratic nations are borrowing it.
Yes.
It is in order to entrench that particular designation we normally put executive president. The president is the one to execute. So he is the chief executive officer as per our constitution. He is therefore to show uniformity in contents, in character, and in execution of policies regarding what he is doing at the federal and the state level. So I expect cooperation among all the hierarchy of governance. The governance will understand it in the context of enriching the quality of governance, enriching the doctrine of checks and balances, enriching the doctrine of separation of powers. Because that without this, then virtually you are making voodoo of the democracy we are playing.
Yes.
So I really appreciate their coming before the president. Their coming is essentially to raise those gray areas they want the president to consider. There are 3 stages when you talk of executive order. The first one is the stage of the pronouncement. The second is the stage of signing. And the third one is the stage of gazetting in our context. In the United States, they have what they call federal register. You need to register it before you kick off. So it's a very good development that they are coming before the gazetting, so that all those their grievances will be incorporated, so that at the end, a unity of purpose as per section 15 subsection 1 of the Constitution will be the victor over the whole.
I do appreciate actually this implementation committee on financial autonomy for judiciary and legislature, to which you are the secretary. Just as you say, we wouldn't like to have voodoo kind of governance as far as the Nigerian nation is concerned, so that we streamline things. When the issue of implementation comes in, your committee should be a standing one. It's still on, because the implementation is yet to take off. Exactly. By the time it takes off again, there's other experiences, peculiarities here and there, where to adjust and what have you. How will you go about it?
Well, immediately after the signing of the executive order by Mr. President, the committee met, and we've taken some actions, which is still consultation, and we are also collating the status of implementation in each of the states, because like I observed earlier, some states have started implementing. And some states, before the coming into force of the executive order, that's number one. Number two, some states had even moved and made a law on it. Like last week, His Excellency Senator Okowa, governor of Delta State, signed the autonomy bill of that state into law.
Interesting.
Governor Okowa, the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and now Executive Governor, or Governor of Delta State. So almost states have started implementing. What the states seem afraid in the course of our implementation and our follow-up with their excellencies, the governors, is the question that if you fail, that your money will be deducted and given to that state, that tier of government. I think that seems to be the issue, and we will, their excellencies with the federal government team, the committee will come to a way that to give confidence and will arrive at something that will be agreeable. But I want to say that this was up to an agreement reached in the course of the conference and retreat we had with the on the implementation of this matter before the recommendations were made. Therefore, the committee has been working. We've been consulting. We've collected the situation as it is in the states. We've looked at the model laws that are made by states that have made it. There are states that are implementing already without making laws on it.
Oh,
so what we'll be trying to do is to look at the model law that have been made already, the laws that are operating in the respective states, which are implementing yet not yet making law on it, and to make sure that there is a standing legal and legislatively acceptable mode of implementation. We encourage them to reduce the mode they adopt into a bill, then pass it through the House of Assembly, then get it passed, get it assented by the governor, so that there will be a standard process. We're also looking at the any challenge that the state will have. Like now, there are some states that are in extreme situation where the governors of those states have directed the chief judges and the judiciary to ask for their money and relate for their staffing and everything to the secretary to government of that state. Like I said in this program, that we're going to be diplomatic, we're going to be very conciliatory, we're going to be very amiable with all of them,
yes.
We're going to respect their powers, but we're simply going to draw attention. There are also some areas, some states that, because of the state of the economy, wants to say that, look, some arms of government can wait while the economy is run. The state government, and some say, look, we're borrowing, and so we want to borrow for capital project or something. Please, if you are borrowing for your state, yes, is part of development. Please let the judiciary or the legislature not be a victim of that process.
After all, there's a democratic process.
Yes,
in all these things,
let them have their money,
yes.
And let there be a means. If the judiciary wants to borrow, or you want to borrow for the development of the judiciary, you could tie that to be refunded by the funds that will be due to the judiciary under the law.
And
because like Mr. President had said in the order, and like the recommendation said, let there be 3 years of great attention to the judiciary for the purpose of developing the judiciary, because the judiciary has been the lowest and the worst treated of all the arms of government at the state level from 1999 till today.
Yes.
And I repeat, the judiciary has been the worst treated. The legislature has had a means of always meeting with the governors. Yes, that's what we're doing. Yes. And in summary, we are definitely going very diplomatic, gentle, soft, and brotherly with their excellency.
Yeah, I like that, Dr. Kogo Umar.
Yes.
This ombudsman kind of situation that we have between the federal government through the committees.
Yes. Yes.
How do you see the situation? In a nutshell, talking to two of you is something else.
I remember President William Harrison.
William Harrison.
Yes, he was the one that faced the greatest turbulence in governing United States of America.
Within that 30 days of his rule.
Yes, because throughout his period, he happens to be in history the only one that has never enacted an executive order.
Yeah.
He is the only one. So, executive order is a stimulus. It's a stimulus, it's an equitable kind of fluid coming to gum the relationship together.
Yes.
It is in the collective interest of nation building as a whole. All these things you are seeing is because, first of all, I want to commend the president for setting off the instrumentality of their committee. It is very, very vital we need this type of committee, because if you don't have policy uniformity at the federal, at the state, and at the local government level, any policy then the president initiates will not cascade down, and the common man will not see the benefit in tandem with Section 14 of the Constitution. The common man will not see the benefit. So the essence is to drive the nation from point A to point B. And it is important we should have mechanism like this, so that they will be able to be the ones to be educating the other components of the government. They will be the ones as well to be fusing out the conditions this one wants and the conditions this one to be bringing about something that will be in tandem with harmony for the two parties. It is very, very important. It is natural for you to have a rancor and misunderstanding like that.
Yes.
But at the end of it, let the interest of the nation, let the interest of the common man, let the interest of Nigeria, let the interest of our strategic position in the democratic world supersede over any other consideration.
Yes.
It is very, very important we have this kind of
Thank you very much. Let me just, before you get to the question you want to ask me.
No, I'm not asking you any question because you are running short of time.
I want to explain that the executive order Mr. President has made, first, it's not a new law.
Yes.
Second, it's giving flesh and procedure for implementation of the existing constitutional provision.
Yes.
And there has been delay and lag in implementation because there was no set out procedure. Each state had to do what it thought was best.
Yes.
And in the autonomy granted by the Constitution to the National Assembly and the Federal Judiciary, there was no need for this process of do this to be settled, because when it was made, then the Constitution, the executive, the president, from President Buhari,
yes.
I mean from President Obasanjo, through President Yaradua, through President Jonathan, all obeyed it, and President Buhari now says, yes, at the federal level it's been obeyed, but at the state level there is, and they complain that there was no process.
Yes.
There is nothing that they were doing. Mr. President now lays out this procedure for implementation.
I think
so,
your committee will deal with that.
Yeah, we will.
And of course,
and we want to reassure the governors.
will educate the nation properly, because we are all in democracy.
Yeah.
Government is the people.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for coming, and distinguished Senator Itai.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mainasara Kogo Umar. One moment for thought is just like a teaser, but to bring out is really what we need to do. It's good that the public will know that the federal government, through the committee, is spearheading the education, the harmonization, and what have you, and regulation. The Constitution is doing that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
There has been moment for thought talking about relationships between and among the institutions of governance, especially today as it affects the state level, talking about the financial autonomy for the judiciary and the legislature at the state level. Well, it is a democracy. Government is uniform and everybody should go and be part of it. Everybody is a stakeholder, and the nation needs education on this, of which perhaps the committee will give us. Thank you for watching. I am Aliyu Baba Baral. Goodbye. Thank you.